ban. Ten seconds remaining.
Hello everyone and welcome to the
5
grand
seconds
final
remaining.
time. We're hoping for an epic battle in a best of 5 that lasts longer than our US
Reserve
qualifier.
time.
We have Team Empire going up against Na'Vi. Only one team will get to attend ESL One Manila.
Navi's
Cap,
turn
who
to
is
ban.
going to do it? Is it
Na'Vi!
You're just gonna go into that camp straight away? Like no hold, just straight in?
Yeah, I feel really confident about Na'Vi. Not nearly as confident. Like I'm gonna make this addendum just like I did yesterday.
Do it.
You shouldn't bet on
10
Dota.
seconds
Dota's
remaining.
like a very finicky game. Like they're like CS:GO. You have like
5
maps and
seconds
stuff. The
remaining.
teams are favored and things. Like anything can happen in the draft. And then there's also like 5 different people's
Reserve
performances
time.
you're relying on, right? So there is basically going to be an element of who's just playing better today, right? But I think as a whole that Na'Vi is the better team right now. I don't feel as confident about Navi's win as I did yesterday with Complexities, nor do I think it's going to be as one-sided
Agreed.
as yesterday's series, which was Complexity taking that 3-0. Empire they look pretty good, honestly. I think Na'Vi has a little bit more steam behind them. General has particularly impressed everyone with the way that he's both come onto the competitive scene as well as transferred. If you know anything about General, he's a mid player, so he's actually transferred over to that offlane position quite successfully. I feel pretty good about Na'Vi, but I guess I'm going to hold my total judgment until I see game 1, and then we can kind of judge, I think, where both teams are at today.
For me, like, I agree with you in one way. At the same time, I kind of feel like I already know what I'm going to get from Na'Vi. Like, you go back through their previous games, you go back through their drafts, and it's very, very much the same. Like, every team in CIS ban Wisp against them in the first phase, and then
10
Seneko picks up the Winter Wyvern. Enchantress or Chen will be the pick for art style.
5
He's
seconds
very rarely
remaining.
moved away from that, and even if he has, there's only 2 other heroes he's been playing, which has been Bane and the Witch Doctor.
Reserve
And
time.
that's all. Na'Vi play a very, very kind of standard type of Dota.
Navi's
The only one who
turn
actually,
to
like the
pick.
person with the most amount of flexibility is actually Dendi. He's the one that's played the most diverse range of heroes for Na'Vi.
Navi's
And I'm
turn
interested to see if
pick.
Snake can just go straight back into like what I'm expecting from him, especially now that he can't have the Chen and he can't have the Enchantress because Avos has blocked both in the drafting phase.
I will give you something, Toby, that is
Team
something
Empire's
about
turn to pick.
Navi's draft that I will say that I will agree with. I think they are a little bit more predictable. I think that that could be a bit of their downfall, but I also look at it as probably one of the biggest strengths right now is that they know, and this is really important for perhaps not these particular teams, but leading into Shanghai, figuring out what exactly your strategy is and playing it to the best perfection. Because every single tournament
10
develops its
seconds
own meta.
remaining.
The most important thing is that you break the meta down as best as humanly possible
5
and play your
seconds
style
remaining.
as successfully as possible and force others to essentially deal with the way you play.
Reserve
Now,
time.
Empire do have a lot more diversity in their draft, and they've also been throwing us up some pretty big curveballs lately. We just watched their match yesterday, right, where they picked up a Doom in one game and a Medusa in the other.
Yeah.
Like, those are some big-time curveballs that you really cannot expect if you're playing the enemy team, and you haven't seen that before. It's like, those are 2 heroes that you're not playing against at all in the patch. So that could surprise Na'Vi, but having diversity and drafting, different heroes doesn't necessarily ensure you a win. Not even in the draft, but like you can theoretically perhaps win a draft by picking up something different. But if you're not playing the style correctly, it won't really matter.
To quote our recent guest here to the Joint Dota office, huge shout out to Moon if he has managed to find a stream wherever he is, if he's still flying right now. Safe travels. But I know we had a nice little conversation about CIS Dota and how difficult it is to play against it, and you brought up the perfect point for it. The fact that like you get throwing curveballs, it's so difficult to play up against a team from the CIS region right now because they do things like this where it's like you can't expect it, you won't understand the timing of the heroes, like the way they move around, so you can't just roll out your plan and understand what their plan's going to be and everything just goes like as you foresee it. So you have to be able to adapt very quickly on the fly, and sometimes you just lose because of that. but at the same time, that makes it a very all-in kind of strategy. If it doesn't work, you find yourself being completely crippled, and you got no way to come back, and then everyone's just like, wow, that actually was a terrible idea. Where if it worked, everyone would be like, oh, the gods are drafting. So it's very much hit and miss kind of style, and Na'Vi, they do sometimes go down that road, even though like they are predictable. Everything, like with the Enchantress and the Chen, it's a lot of this push kind of strat, take out early buildings, and then you kind of just have so much momentum you can't be stopped when you take fights. Where Team Empire is probably more unstable on that front.
5 seconds.
Let's talk about the draft a little bit, because there's definitely some interesting things that went on. The weirdest was how long Team Empire took for their second pick. I'm not sure what else they were thinking here, but the draft starts out with one of the most critical heroes I thought was going to be the most critical hero. From the 4 position, the Earth Spirit, which has both been valued by Na'Vi as well as Team Empire. If you're not banning away the Wisp, you're banning away Earth Spirit away from Na'Vi, right?
Yep.
So the fact that that was left in the pool was a bit interesting, but at the same time, Na'Vi didn't actually pick it up. It seemed like they really had a game plan in mind. Seneko gets his signature Winter Wyvern, which is a hero that pretty much only he is playing regularly at this point in time in the patch, but it does work really
so
well.
early to the pick as well. Every single time it's in that first 2. Like, he doesn't even wait for the second phase. So you're right, like, he picks that up instead of going for the Earth Spirit.
But when Enchant is already on the field, I think you have more incentive to pick up the Winter Wyvern because of the Splinter Blast and the way that it's going to be able to fend off some of these pushes. But Team Empire took a really long time with the Vengeful Spirit, which was particularly interesting to me because it seemed like such an obvious pick. It's a counter to the Faceless Void. It's one of the strongest supports in the pool right now, or just in general for the patch. It's not going to be banned away in the first 1-2, so Vengeful Spirit is pretty much guaranteed to be picked up in the first 1-2 by either one of these teams. Now, it also works really well with the Chen, counter to Faceless Void. There were so many reasons to pick up the Venge, but Team Empire might have had something bigger in mind. Part of that might have been some of the potential heroes that work well with Faceless Void. You cannot ban enough of them. There's always going to be probably a Gyrocopter left in the pool like there is right now. Death Prophet as well as OD are oftentimes like one of those 2 heroes is going to make it through. And then you also have like the standard Invoker if he makes it through the 1-2 area. But Na'Vi do this again.
We're back in the same boat as yesterday, Cap. We had a long discussion about this yesterday, which was what happens when you run a Faceless Void off lane, and then you run a melee carry, a hero that can implement no damage during the Chrono time. What is then the purpose of Chrono without having something big that can really capitalize on the situation, like an OD, who's also still in the pool, as your mid laner? Like, that'll probably be where Na'Vi is heading, but Team Empire still have 3 cores to pick up. So they want to block pick that here on the 3rd. There's very few heroes that are still in the pool. Maybe they want to pick up a Viper for Na'Vi. Then you don't have the damage to dish out during Chronosphere time.
Yeah, you really like the melee carries do not have very much synergy, and it's funny because they actually tend to pick up heroes that have synergy with Faceless Void. This is why I was pointing out like the OD. This is why I was also looking at another one. The Ember Spirit was actually one of the carries that they run with Faceless Void quite a bit, right? Because you can slide a fist ring. They usually try and get some good synergy heroes, but once again, we're going to be seeing a Faceless Void Sven combination coming out from the CIS region. I don't think it's that bad. The question is whether or not it's going to be too slow, because Team Empire, it's pretty obvious that they're going to be ramping up a push strategy. They just picked up the Gyrocopter, which makes so much sense to me. I don't think you can play the farming Sven. You've got to get the Blink Dagger Sven, and now they pick up the Witch Doctor, one of the best counters to Chen for sure. But it does worry me that their lineup is just going to be a bit too late, and it's going to be primarily on their mid to create a lot of space in the beginning of the game.
Yeah. Then he's got a lot of weight on his shoulders. At least the supports from Na'Vi are going to function nicely against the push of Team Empire. He goes Splinter Blast as well as Paralyzing Cast, because this does slow down Team Empire's approach. If you've got Stormbolt, Warcry, like, it's not that difficult to stand under the lane. In fact, you actually think about who's that offlaner now for Team Empire, which will actually be an Earthshaker offlane. Up against a Wyvern and a Witch Doctor. Cap, I know you've got probably more experience than any other caster in the Dota 2 scene playing Earthshaker offlane. how is he meant to function against this Na'Vi lineup?
I think they just wanted an offlaner that came online relatively early. Earthshaker is
10
relatively
seconds
good
remaining.
against melee carries and is particularly strong against any BKB hero.
Team
One
Empire's
of the
turn
biggest
to
problems, though, of the Earthshaker pickup as an offlaner is that he cannot punish carries. Now, the big problem here is going to be I would not put it beyond Na'Vi to run an aggro tri-lane in order to give Faceless Void a favorable 1v1 matchup.
10
You don't
seconds
typically
remaining.
want to run against a Gyrocopter, but for me, I was really wondering why
5
would they pick up
seconds remaining.
both of these supports? Why would they pick up the Winter Wyvern as well as the Witch Doctor? What's kind of the point of doubling down on that? Because
Navi's
many other
turn to pick.
teams would look at something that's more disruptive to a Chen, right? Especially in the early laning phase. Ooh, a Leshrac. Okay, they needed
turn
some
to
sort of
pick.
like snowballing, tempo controlling, like run at you kind of mid that benefits from the Faceless Void, so it's going to be somewhat glass cannon-y. I was immediately looking at Puck. I was just like, Puck's in the pool. I guess that's probably one of the best ones. Queen of Pain was banned away, but Leshrac, going back for the Leshrac, this is certainly a surprise,
I thought
and it
was
does
Empire.
give them.
Empire was meant to
10
curveball us,
seconds
not Na'Vi.
Yeah. I mean, maybe this is Na'Vi just really
5
well set up for this,
seconds
because
remaining.
now if they go for the Blink Dagger Sven, they actually have the problem with the Blink Dagger Sven is that while he comes online quickly, he lacks damage. And he's also not like a hero like Wraith King that is inherently disruptive when he's on the front lines because you can't target him, otherwise he has reincarnation. So he can he just jumps in, stuns, you try and blow him up, and that's kind of the end of it, right? You really need a strong amount of damage to follow that up. And before, with their supports and everything else, it wasn't that much. But now with the Leshrac, they certainly do. Plus, they have a good hero, another good hero to stand high ground. They already have Winter Wyvern, Witch Doctor, and Leshrac. Those are 3 different good spamming high ground heroes. Faceless Void is just a strong initiator from high ground as well.
10
Team Empire,
seconds
definitely
remaining.
the ones on the clock here, specifically because they went the Earthshaker. If they had an offlaner that scaled a bit better, you could see Empire actually play potentially more of a farming game, and they wouldn't really be in trouble
Prepare
until
for battle.
perhaps 40-45 minutes. But because they went for such an early game hero in the Earthshaker that is so focused on being able to dominate the 20 to 30-minute marker, and it's also not a hero that can punish carries in the laning phase, then you're actually left at this clock that's going to be ticking the whole entire time for Empire, and Na'Vi are just going to be focusing on surviving, essentially.
Wondering if they'll be capable of doing so. We are going to get ourselves underway, as I realize we got a lot of people joining into the stream right now. For those who have just tuned in, I know we didn't really explain this at the start of it, so we can get this out of the way right now. To understand what this game actually means, this is the end of the European qualifier. The winner of this full best of 5 will travel to ESL One Manila, and they will
30
play
seconds to
out
battle.
with the main teams, which have been invited as well. Currently only Team Secret is known from that one. But we also had Complexity qualify last night in the US qualifier over the
Dire
Peruvians.
structures are
So it's a full
fortified.
best of 5. Na'Vi Empire, only one team may advance themselves forward. The other one, it's kind of like there is no mercy granted in this format. It's full single elimination. It's this or nothing.
So looking at this,
The battle begins.
we are going to have very typical lanes, defensive tri-lane on both sides. The mid matchup is going to be an interesting one, Leshrac versus Puck. The Puck, if he's not having lightning being casted directly on him. Oh wow, that is big. I just now noticed that.
Yeah, he de-watered the Observer Water as well as picked up the rune in the bottom river, and that's from Seneko. Seneko allowed that to happen and made sure that Dendi is now going to have such a commanding position here. Seneko's waiting until Dendi chips down Aloha Dance before he'll fly over the top and do something about it. And in fact, the chipping has already been done. There's only phase shift for the Puck, and Dendi, he misses on the stun. Seneko, he's in too deep. Aloha Dance! He has enough damage, he'll take the first blood. Seneko going way too deep, taking way too much damage, and they didn't have the creep play.
Seneco's often known for some of these highly aggressive, high-risk and potentially high reward sort of plays in the beginning of the game where you make these kind of roaming plays that the enemy team may not expect, and because they don't expect it, it works out. But that was just simply way too foolish. Na'Vi made a huge blunder there in a matchup that was already going to be favorable for Dendy. Because he had level 2 right away, this is actually difficult for Aloha Dance, because Leshrak gets that faster level of Lightning Storm. He starts spamming out directly on the puck, and if he uses on creeps and the puck tries to dodge, that actually sets up the stun for Dendy. He can actually throw it on the creeps, it'll bounce around, it eventually hit Aloha Dance, which he'll naturally try and phase shift, and then you can actually follow that up with a stun. Now Suneko's playing like catch-up in a way, where he's trying to play even more aggressively in this mid and somehow win the lane for Dendy, when it was kind of won already. He didn't have to play that the way he did.
Yeah. Just setting them back even further, and that's not something you really want to be saying about Na'Vi when you still have no fear inside the jungle. He's already level 3 2 minutes into this game as this Chen, so you'll start to see his rotations and involvement in the lane. If you start comparing Suneko to him, okay, Aloha, he's still able to get the rune from Suneko. Yeah, this is going to put most of Na'Vi back a little bit more. General's still having a very tough time. Like he's hiding in that top lane, which is nice for him. Means that early advantage, which you could have capitalized on, just doesn't happen anymore. The advantage is, however, Diddy Ra has a completely free lane on bottom lane. Force has taken almost nothing from this off lane. Like, he's gotten 2 levels, almost 3, which isn't too bad, but Diddy Ra is just getting all that free farm. So the slowed down Sven is not going to happen. It's going to be on time Sven.
Yeah, the offlaners like Earthshaker and Clockwork are very out of favor right now for several reasons. First of all, you want an offlaner that actually stays and puts constant pressure in the lane. Faceless Void is probably the best hero at doing that right now. He may not have the best kill potential, but he'll keep the enemy supports there because he's so dangerous later on into the game, right? So you want to be able to make sure he doesn't get his level 6 and such like that. The reason Earthshaker and Clockwork are so favorable before was because of the fact that the offlane was so dangerous that you could play really far back and do certain things like hog blocking or fisher blocking in order to get a basic amount of experience. But now with certain heroes like Faceless Void, they can always play that far forward because of just their new skill set. And then on top of that, it was also the early roaming potential. At level 6, you could move as a Clockwork. Before that, you can move as an Earthshaker. You can try and help dominate that mid lane. Now it's less necessary. It's much more often that offlaners need to have more of a mid-game impact and actually get a large amount of farm from their lane. And the problem with this is that Earthshaker's both being shut out harder than the Faceless Void, and he's going to have less of an impact later on into the game.
Really surprised No Fear just did what he did. They threw a sentry ward up on top of the hill and de-warded the Radiant Observer ward. Now, the only way they could do that without breaking their smoke was to consume a Tango. So Chen got rid of it that way, but it revealed the fact that smoke happened, and instantly Na'Vi pinged out that something was awry. So this first smoke movement of Team Empire, it kind of gets blown for 1 ward. Even though the ward was good, it still only had like 2 minutes left on it.
Structures are fortified.
Full wraparound here. They really want to try and shut down Dendy. They know he's very much the linchpin. We kind of set that up in the draft, right? The 4 other heroes of Na'Vi, it didn't really make too much sense until you had a big damage dealer.
Snako, he kept walking into him, tries to fly up towards the cliffside. The Wave of Terror is going to get the vision. So they still do get a kill Empire for their movement.
I think in that kind of case, Suneko kind of expects he's going to be running into the smoking, but it's better for him to catch it than his other cores. And he also expects that he's going to be able to get away because he could fly into trees. Unfortunately, the way he stumbled upon them allowed to just close range stun him up. And now they're going to have to give up the tower. But
especially when they used the fortification before. Na'Vi burned the fortification when there was only the gyrocopter pressuring the tower. General, dodge the stun from Funnick.
The Helmet Dominator build is going to be here for Dichira. It's not that surprising. The question is, you oftentimes still go for Helmet Dominator. It's what you build after that. Are you going to use that amount of farm to go for the quick Blink Dagger? I really think he should. Because you can't let Empire, just because you have better late game, you shouldn't let them control the game too much.
Gonna help out right now. Denny starting off with the Lightning. He wants to kill over on Funnick, but trying to wait for the Split Earth. Actually does it over on the puck. Funnick's gonna drop with the Dream Coil, catching 4. Aloha with a 4-man rift as well. Arsel's gonna force No Fear, the Chen, who picks up the double kill. While FN as well as Aloha Dance chasing after General. His time walks on cooldown for a while, so the Rocket Barrage will be full damage. Tries to play the Fog of War, but he cannot play it well enough. That's 3 heroes lost for Na'Vi, getting caught in the top river. after they were the ones to start the fight.
Radiant's bottom
Nice play
tower
from
is
Aloha
under
Dan,
attack.
seeing the opportunity to come in, even if he doesn't dodge that stun. He just saw that it was going to be too much attention focused on that support, and he would be able to come in with enough AoE to win that fight, especially when they're fighting into a Chen like that. Chen is such a high impact / non-committal hero because you can just throw creeps in there. And obviously, since the neutral creeps got buffed up in several ways, they have an even larger impact than they used to.
From Empire, I'm wondering how long they can keep this up. Like attacking him before this event really play a part. Because the puck isn't going to get a blink dagger anytime soon. And their smoke mover, it seems like a higher risk when you do something like this. There's no deep vision from Team Empire, so they're having a shot in the dark every time they go.
I think they know that they can't afford to let Navi control the laning phase too much. Like, in particular, I really pointed out heavily that they need to make sure that Dendi does not have a good time, and they try to put pressure on him. Unfortunately, it didn't really happen until that fight at top lane. But in the end, they still are making sure that Aloha Dance is going to have the faster Blink Dagger, which is going to threaten the Leshrac much more. It's also going to be quite a strong hero against Faceless Void. Any long duration silence is quite potent against him. And they're actually going to smoke up for the bottom lane. They want to try and pick off Ditch Your Ra before he starts getting a bit too much farm.
Well, there's no one there right now because the creep wave got dragged a long way back thanks to the pull from Artstyle. So they may just find a support hero. Artstyle reveals the fact that No Fear is moving down, and he's going to see the rest of the team as well. The first stun comes out, and No Fear just going to penitence over on Artstyle, and they're going to commit the Dream Call as well. A quick paralyzing cast, attempt to TP out, Force to be there at the right time for the fissure. So they find the kill over on the support. But is this really enough when Team Empire do a rotation like this? Yes, it's 6-1. Yes, they're definitely looking good on experience as well as gold advantage. But are they getting enough out the lanes? Because you're going to get Chrono soon, you'll start to feel the effect of Dendi more. And then you'll start to also feel the effect of Sven.
It's for sure not like the most ideal scenario. That was like they got a support and they had to use a lot for it. Dream Coil being used was pretty bad. But at the same time, these are like CDEC smokes from TI5, right? This is, you're gonna smoke up, you're gonna get whatever you can out of the smoke, but even if it fails, say you don't actually get that support at all, they ping you out and you're not able to get anything, you're still gonna get the tower, just because of the nature of, one, Chen, and two, because you're already there, the enemy team can't get in position in time. So what you've essentially done is you've gotten yourself more map control, you've taken away the enemy jungle, and you've forced away the Sven out of his lane. Like, he just had to TP out entirely and now has to play the deeper part of his jungle. It's also really important for Dire's side to take control of the Radiant jungle as much as possible. In particular with a team like this, Leshrac and Sven both have pretty good stack farming capabilities, and they also need a basic amount of farm before they're mid-game dominators. Empire get online a lot faster, so they need to be more of the aggressors.
Isn't that a bit of a problem though? Because you're running Dendi, who needs farm. By the way, Outstyle's dead. Like, Dendi needs to get a lot of farm out of that Lesh. He needs to do stacks, but he can't do like the Ancients. You need to work with a Sven for that. But now you've lost control of your jungle, this is going to get a little bit tight as far as taking those kind of stacks. Dream Coil committed. They found Dendi. He's very isolated up there. Only one charge. The Cold Embrace from Snako. Getting to help out. There's no curse available in the fissure.
Oh, nice
trying
job.
to mess with it. Actually holds Snako in position. Vorst finding the right timing, allowing Empire to take 2 hero kills, and now they move over towards the Sven. The Warcry will let him escape. There's no follow-up from Team Empire. They're happy with what they've got. Now they can move to the tier 1 tower bid.
They're most certainly not playing this the correct way at all. The natural play is when the enemy is going to make these sort of smoke plays, and because it's not the same way that CDC did it in TI5, they did it by bringing the gyro. The new kind of version of these smokes are the 4-position junglers like Enigma, Chen, and Enchantress, who bring just an overwhelming amount of strength due to neutral creeps. So because they're no longer bringing their carry, the natural reaction right now is to always go top lane when you have these sort of smoke plays. So when Sven TP'd out, they should have headed to the top lane and punched the gyrocopters who's alone. And the best part of that is, when you have a Faceless Void, you have an initiator naturally sitting in the lane. So Gyrocopter may not play passive enough. He'll just all of a sudden be jumped by Time Walk and Chronosphere. You go forward. Doesn't even necessarily require a smoke, but you probably should commit it. and you go and you punish the gyrocopter, and then you put pressure on top lane and force Empire to respond to you. But right now, Navi's playing too passive. They're letting Empire control the game too much, and they're playing too much around the, oh, we need to farm first game.
This could be good for them, though. They got an observer ward right next to the tier 1 tower on the top lane, so they're watching Funnick as well as the puck move the Chronosphere. The Aloha dance just shorted himself away. Funnick was the only one isolated. The paralysis card still flew out. The call down now from FN. There's only one hero down so far. And General, where's the rest of this follow-up? Dendi needs more damage, and the lightning comes back off cooldown, but Aloha in for the perfect dream coil, and Navi completely caught with their pants down. Dendi is on the run out of here. You can just penitence him up and chase down with Aloha. He doesn't have the blink dagger yet, even though the money is available. He'll orb himself forward with the rift, and he cannot survive. Aloha has a triple kill against Navi, putting the score now at 3-14 in favor of Team Empire.
You know, I felt, somewhat good about the way that Navi's draft was looking, and that they would potentially, they kind of had a game plan which was just kind of survive and spam out against some of these pushes, but they're just failing to execute. It almost feels like they're not playing an aggressive enough game to be able to ensure, because they're just, again, letting Empire run over the button. By the time they actually went for a smoke play of their own 10 minutes in the game, the score was already dramatically in the favor of Team Empire. Gold and not just net worth, but experience, probably more importantly, was heavily favorable for Empire. You're naturally going to lose that kind of fight if Empire happen to be 5-manning, just because you're so far behind. You don't even have your ultimates for some of these heroes. They only just now got it on Seneko, and that's a pretty important one, because it leads to the combination of these AoE stuns that they have, both from the Sven, the Leshrac, and the Chronosphere.
I love how Nofia was just trying to farm up the Ancients from the other side of the river with the tornado. He almost got through.
Did he really?
Yeah. So the wild
Black
Wing.
yeah,
he's doing it again.
Oh my god.
He's doing it again. So he just sends the tornado over, and he almost killed off the Black Dragons.
I don't think I've ever seen that before. You can only do that with Black Drakes, but...
But it's because there's a double stack of Black Drakes
yeah.
in there. Hey, he's gonna get him. And the Alpha was watching this happen. Too easy money.
A weird scenario. And Navi are not in the right position right now. I don't think they should be fighting. They don't have their Blink Dagger initiation from the Sven. They're gonna lose this fight, almost guaranteed. And unless they get some sort of amazing ult from Seneko to lead things off, I cannot see how they fight Chen underneath this tornado with the Blink Dagger already up on Aloha Dam.
Empire is too spaced out. Like they can't get a good chrono. They can't get a good curse. The hope is actually you get an isolated hero for the Death Ward with a, like, you don't even have Malediction. You don't even have that bonus damage to, like, ensure a pop after. Like, and Hand of God's coming off cooldown for Nofia. You got Hand of God as well as Mech available.
They're creating a lot of space for Havos right now. He'll have the Blink Dagger before the next fight.
It's still crazy to think that if you look across the map right now, for net worth wise, Nofia, he's actually got more net worth than Havorst has as this Chen. He had such a great time inside the jungle. Now you actually buy space for Force to get that Blink Dagger. Practically running, like... You got 4 cores on Empire who are more powerful than almost most of Na'Vi. The Sven's the only one who's keeping up with him just because he took out the Ancient stack just then. That's the only way he's doing it. Yeah. Track is just behind him, but... Dendi can't even get Arcane Boost. He's going directly in for Eul Scepter, realizing that he needs control. Like, even if it's a cheap one like a Eul Scepter, he needs something during the team fight.
Yeah, it's also a defensive measure as well. You've got one missile stun coming out from the Vengeful Spirit. You have a silence from Aloha Dance, and you can pretty much guarantee that Aloha Dance is going to be either looking for Dendi or for the Faceless Void when it comes to his initiation. So he's it's both like an offensive measure as well as defensive. Problem with the Eul Scepter on Leshrac right now is that the nerf doesn't allow Dendi to be able to make a strong initiation anymore because the range is too small. You need Ether Lens in order to really bring the Eul Scepter back to the old disable it.
They found a target. It's going to be the puck. Dendi is going to open up with a little bit of extra damage. The follow-up stun. Do they have enough damage to kill off Aloha? He's going to phase shift, join himself away. The pulse. He comes under the neck and Havorst reveals the Blink Dagger. A double kill on the dunk, taking out Arnstyle as well as Dendi. Oh, that'll make him regret. I was like disbanding the entire team for him. There's 16-3 in favor of now Empire. And Na'Vi, they're in trouble, man. I think Empire almost have this one shoved in the bag.
Oh, that most definitely. I mean, that was the kind of like psychological break when you can't get like you get a chronosphere on a puck with a Leshrac sitting right there, and you can't actually kill him in time. He's somehow too tanky. What in what world, Toby, do you use those words to describe a puck? Too tanky. But he survived through the Leshrac nukes.
He doesn't even have big items for that. That almost shows the lack of damage coming out from Na'Vi. This will be their hope right now. They can stop Empire from doing what they're doing, but you also just use Chronosphere. So stopping Empire from taking Roshan is not possible. Snakeo as well as Dendy could force the mid, but even then they can't force it, can they?
Yeah.
Aloha jumps in. He's hasted in. With one rift, he already hurts Dendy pretty heavily. Dendy can't even get the stun timing. A little bit too late, then allowing Aloha to go into his phase shift. They're gonna finally get the kill. 902 gold for a puck kill, going the way of the Witch Doctor.
That was a godsend there for Na'Vi. That was just that little, because they weren't gonna get anything else out of that. They might have been able to get the tier 1 if Aloha Dance wasn't there, but the kill on the puck is actually much more important than the tier 1 tower anyway. There is still going to be some struggles that Empire have to make. As we said, there's really good high ground defense from Na'Vi. They have really good spamming abilities. Winter Wyvern's amazing, Lashrag's very strong, and they've got some decent initiators. Now they have the Blink Dagger on the Sven, coupled with General's Time Lock Chronosphere as well. It is going to be a dangerous game for Empire to push, and you have to remember there is still a clock ticking for them in a way. But that being said, it's definitely Empire's game to lose, and we'll learn more about where Empire is today in this series than about Na'Vi for the rest of the game, right? Because if Empire failed to make their full push uphill, that's on them. It's not necessarily on the most amazing plays from Na'Vi, because this should really just be a bit cut and dry for Empire. If they play this correctly, they shove down tier 2s, they continue to keep up their farm, they make sure to get the second Roshan, they push high ground with that, and they get some feelers about where the game is.
The ability to actually execute your win scenario. So that's what you're looking for. Yeah. And you're right, like, Na'Vi could... If Empire don't play it right, they give Na'Vi the opportunities just to force the issue. Now, Na'Vi smoked up for some interesting reason, and went down to the bottom lane. Diddy Ra also burnt his god strength for this. And all they managed to get was the creep wave on bottom lane.
Diddy Ra was like, screw chain creeps. Oh. He got him all right. He destroyed that Chen army. Honestly, it's not a bad use of it.
It's like they're trying to bait a fight on bottom lane. You got Chronosphere back up again, but you don't actually have the Chrono there. The Chrono's in mid lane where General's currently dying. Aloha Dan's able to get that silence on him, so there's no time walk away. And Na'Vi are into trade area. This is such a dangerous game to play. You got 30 seconds without a Faceless Void. Empire adding pressure to your mid-tier 2 tower. You start the lane trade. If Empire want to keep going, which with an Aegis Immortal behind him, they're going to feel pretty inclined to do it.
It's too difficult for them to push high ground right now, I think, on Empire. They should take the rest of these tier 2s first. That's why I said get Roshan again, because I think it's the second Aegis for them. When they use the mech in the middle lane while they were taking tier 2, that really signals that they're not going to push high ground. Because otherwise it's like 1, maybe 2 heroes are enough to push back.
I suppose there is the other thing too, that Gyrocopter hadn't had his BKB yet, so... Yeah. And why force yourself into a trade scenario? Like as you said, like they're not the ones, like the long game ticking clock maybe is there for them. But in this early point, like why lose out any more towers? You just lost your first tower 19 minutes in after you've removed all bar one of Na'Vi's outer towers.
Yeah, the influx of gold is definitely much more valuable for Na'Vi than it is for Empire, so trading isn't necessarily the best. The fact that they defend their tier 2 is good. Smoke up, Na'Vi know that they have to get aggressive at this point in time, otherwise...
Fen's the closest. Diddy Ra, he didn't run up, so he didn't reveal him. Lavorce gonna be there. Chronosphere from General. He's got it available. Lavorce comes in, he throws down the Fissure. General's got Time Walk off cooldown. Lavorce jumps in for the Echo Slam. General, he Time Walks out the damage. They've still got Chronosphere available once the Deadward from Ansel is hitting up Lavorce. I don't know why General didn't want to turn on that one, but either way, Na'Vi are battling the hell out of here. They do not want to fight. They're still gonna lose Artstyle. There's no way for him to survive after the puck chased him down. And Team Empire, well, they get one, they survive the smoke, but that looked like a really great opportunity for like a Death Wall Chronosphere combo.
Yeah, it was yes and no. right? Because the hero that he would have been able to Chronosphere was the Gyrocopter, who had the Aegis.
True.
And that fight is naturally going to last long enough that Empire will get there in time. They don't really know where the rest of Empire was, but they make the assumption that they're somewhere close enough to be able to get there for life number 2. Plus, they knew Havost. They saw Havost on the side, and that guarantees that they can't just get a one-off kill on the gyro and then back out. Havost will always make his initiation and delay you, so you will be caught by Empire. I think it was actually a good amount of restraint there from General. It looks really bad and stuff, but are you watching that Centaur dance? Yeah. What a taunt game that is.
Wow, they actually pulled it back as well.
But I think it was a good amount of restraint from General and a good call, whoever made the call not to make the initiation, because that would have been a disastrous fight for Na'Vi in the end.
Yeah, with previous Na'Vis, like your eyes would just light up and say, hey, we got ourselves a kill. Let's just do this. Seneko, that's a little too efficient. And the Aegis now does time out, but you got no Seneko for 30 seconds.
Part of the reason like we're so confident about Empire being in control of this game and why we say things like it's their game to lose is if you just look at the natural progression of items, it's very favorable to Empire. One of the biggest upgrades they're going to be getting here in the next Aegis timing is, actually he's got it right now, No Fear's got the Aghanim Scepter. And that is a huge increase in survivability because you're able to get one of those ancient granite golems, and all of a sudden your gyrocopter looks like he's a tank, right? Because he's got BKB, he's gonna get probably his next item before they go high ground as well. So he's probably gonna be sitting anywhere from like 16 to 1800 HP with his next item plus the granite golem. Yeah, there's the completed S&Y. So he's not a hero that you can just simply one-shot with Digiraw. So you're always going to be able to have a huge amount of damage coming out from the gyrocopter. The puck's going to be sitting in the back. I'm not sure what the item build is for this game, but I think it's Aghanim Scepter. Anytime you're up against a melee hero that goes BKB, I think Ags is probably the best option for a puck because it's such a heavy kiting mechanism.
Because he's already got his one disable.
He's got the career.
That's a VIP booster on it. He doesn't have Blink Dagger, however, so keeping up with it's going to be difficult. He jaunts. We're gonna keep juking. Oh, he got vision. He still got vision because of the orb. He blinks it for it, and he sees it. That's the kill. They actually picked up more on that courier. It also picked up, I believe, a point booster. Yeah, it was a point booster and a VIP booster. Both belonging to Dendy. Sniped out and lost for 3 minutes. But on the bright side, there's no Aegis Immortal on Team Empire, and they've still got time to wait for Roshan to respawn, so they may actually have those items back in Dendy's hands. Or at that point, like, when they push.
General's just got very little item
progression. He wants it. He's got a God Strength, he's got a Storm Bolt, but Havost already has a Force Staff as well. By the time Digiraw catches up to him, Havost is able to be broken free at the first time, but Dendy follows up with a second. Echo Slam arrives with a call down. Havost, the curse that comes in from Seneko. Dendy already got exploded, and Monica swapping a Force out of trouble. Seneko will die as well. Digiraw will be lucky enough to survive, but what the hell just...
He ran back in range. He ran back in range of the Diabolic Edicts. Because it stays on the ground after Leshrac dies, so he got swapped out amazingly by Funnick, and then he ended up running back in because he wanted to get a stun onto the Sven, but he dies to the Diabolic Edict in the process. That was so silly because I was just about to really articulate how the change of Winter Wyvern can be so costly, and in that sort of instance, when he used the Winter's Curse, it saved the Earthshaker. Right? It was a necessary measure to make sure that FN didn't run in and kill everything, but it actually ended up saving Havost temporarily.
Just 4 things. Empire now, they're going to come up and attack to the high ground. General, you've got that ulti ready. You've got only a level 1 Death Ward from Artstyle, but now you start to see also Leshrac is alive, and Empire really don't feel confident with this push. They lose their creep wave so quickly that it's difficult, so like lightning spams out, stun as well. You can Storm Bolt this if you want, you can just cleave it.
Yeah, their creep wave does not last long. That's why they're so reliant on these ancient creeps. Ooh, that's scary.
If they're gonna do that, that means they have to push a hero to the front lines. Like either the ancient creeps tank it up, which can actually be killed off by Na'Vi, because the creep wave won't be there, so they're completely isolated. Or you have a hero who's like a gyrocopter with an Aegis Immortal behind him. But yeah. FN doesn't have that right now. Roshan still, actually, he's almost a maximum spawn time away. So they gotta wait another 2 minutes before they can get Roshan, if-ish.
Yeah, it's funny because they don't even have vision inside of the pit.
Yeah, they put a defensive observer ward down.
Yeah, it's not even like they know it's not up and they're just pushing for the sake of pushing right now.
Diddy Ra is waiting for the perfect opportunity. Because they don't see him, you can just BKB Stormbolt and potentially like remove Horse from the fight. I say that when you got Funnick on the field with an Ether Lens, so maybe not so much. And Empire's gonna give up. They're realizing that if they go in there, they're just playing to Na'Vi's strength.
Next round of items, I think when they get the Aegis, they should probably wait on Gyrocopter's next item. I think it's Butterfly, but I'm not actually positive on that. The 3 different items of Gyrocopter at this point in time are usually MKB. I think is probably the most popular. Butterfly is second, and then Satanic is actually sometimes the 3rd item. It's one of those items that just allows you to severely tank up. You won't be bursted down. And then you'll always make sure that, because you can't be bursted, you'll get off BKB Satanic and go right back up to full HP. It's a build that's more reliant on your magic damage than anything else, and that's why I would rather see him build a Butterfly, which I think naturally tanks him up a bit against the Sven, who's probably going to be going on the Gyrocopter anyway, and still gives him an ample amount of damage. But we'll see. This is a little bit... I don't think Satanic's the item just because they have enough problems pushing high ground already.
Unless they want him to be that frontline tank, and then Satanic would make a lot more sense. The jump out, well, Void up into the air. He also he got the corner! He caught the 2 of them. That BKB took half a second left. Now it's going to wear off, and now allow for the stun, but no! Aloha Dens as he phase shifts it. They need the kill over the Gyrocopter. The Echo Slash! The swap out for the paralyzing cast! It followed up! The Gyro goes down! They're chasing Aloha Dens. No phase shift, no life, no hope! He's down 2 heroes on the sideline, and Diddy Ra chases after Funnick. This is the hope that Na'Vi were looking for, to catch Empire out, to get the big kills, to actually be able to chase after the BKB's worn out. But not just that, Roshan's up. Gyro will have to buy back, but there's no puck, there's no BS.
And
what have Empire just done?
This is where we really learn about Empire, where they are today. That was a very sloppy play, and they're going to be punished to the max. Again, their lineup had a timeline. They cannot afford to make these kind of mistakes, especially at this point in the game, when Roshan is just coming up, but also it's like 28 minutes in. This is like where you've reached your biggest peak of net worth advantage, right? So when you lose a fight, you're giving comeback goals to the enemy team. You're giving a lot of extra experience to the enemy. If you can afford blunders in the laning phase a bit, but you can't afford blunders at this point in time in the game. You have to play it very cleanly and very crisply. And that was definitely just a bad play from Gyrocopter.
Horse is coming.
In.
Horse is coming. Is he going to blink? No, he's stepped in. The sentry ward was there. Horse, there's no stun. He's being sent back by No Fear. Chen Army will make a buffer between Na'Vi as well as Empire. And Na'Vi just want to get out. And they're successful. They're gone home.
Do you think this is intentional by No Fear to have the Hellbear and not the Hellbear Smasher? Because the Hellbear now has the Cloak Aura, which, while it doesn't look that good for heroes, it's like a Rubik Aura at level 1, it's really garbage, 5%. It does give creeps a 20% resistance, which is decently significant.
I could understand it more if like there was an Aegis Prophet on the field, but right now he's just protecting his own units.
And yeah, you're unlikely to really save your creep wave from pushing in. It's just going to be another round of nukes from Na'Vi. There's like, order another round, boys. Another Splinter Blast on the house.
It doesn't seem as efficient.
Yeah, that was so bad by Empire, though. I mean, they had to get that Aegis. I'm still like a little bit befuddled why they never tried to set up for a Roshan fight. I mean, if they just get some aggressive vision up, they play around Roshan. They don't fully commit to Roshan. That's one of the things. If you have an aggressive vision, you don't see anybody pushing out from Na'Vi or defending some of the pushes that you set up, you know they smoked, and you just kind of try and set a trap. You can maybe get a team fight right in front of the Roshan pit, and then you go take Roshan and immediately put pressure on Na'Vi. But they just like FN just kind of like stumbled into a position where he's hit by Dendy's combination, and then obviously they can't retreat fast enough and get caught by the Chronosphere.
I'm loving this vision that's coming out from Na'Vi right now. Like that top lane plant they tried to do probably was it 10-15 minutes ago was because of an observer ward, which is a little bit more unconventional. Now with their defensive warding, they're seeing Empire's movements perfectly on their side of the jungle. They also pinged down saying the observer ward was there. They just did it now. but it was pinged out when it was originally planted. So Snakeo's already coming in here, and they're keeping Empire blinded. This is so difficult for Empire to do what they were doing before, like quick rotations. Even then they were blind, but they had a little bit more of an advantage at that point of the game. Now that advantage doesn't really exist, and okay, that was just...
Funnick was real close to throwing out that swap. With Ether Lens, he could get it. But,
they're actually going to de-ward the Dire Observer Ward now because of this.
Yeah, Navi's doing such a great job getting all back.
There's your butterfly from FN.
I mean, if you look at the net worth, it's 12,000 still in the favor of Empire. The craziness is, I think Navi actually have the advantage. And it's like guaranteed if you just wait a little bit, like a few more
Funnick
minutes.
See that? Yeah, Funnick saw that. He's going to stun over on Diddy Ra. Is there going to be a follow-up? There is from General. He goes after the Vengeful Spirit with a first hit time lock. There is no real jump in just yet. There's no reason to expend a Chronosphere on just a Vengeful Spirit, as Aloha really dropping Diddy Ra down low. Paralyzing cast, making it difficult for Empire just to jump in and make the Chen creep wave effective.
They're so close to getting the Aghanims on art style, which was the next big talking point for Na'Vi. I feel like they're getting a little bit anxious. They still have 2 full minutes on the Aegis. If they just spent this last 30 seconds farming an art style, they would have the Aegis, and then their team fight looks like actually very superior.
Unless they're just thinking this Aegis of the Immortal is just so you take the fight and then take the tier 1 tower and then back out. Because that'll then give you also the money for the Aghanim Scepter.
Yeah, but for me, it's just like the Aghanims is such a big upgrade that it makes it worth it to farm that up and then go for the
Snako, there's just swap. Diddy Ra,
nice
it's a big call right now on Vorsk. Can they have enough damage to kill him off? The Hand of God plus the mech. Vorsk is down. Chen trying to send him back out here. Diddy Ra, he is going to go down, but no, the Cold Embrace keeps him alive a little bit longer. The Aegis Immortal will trigger. The Death Ward from R-Style cancelled by the stun from the Chen creeps, but R-Style, well, where's the extra chase through? Nice stun on Aloha Dance, giving him out of the fight, but really, Na'Vi, they just don't have the survivability. The Gyrocopter is too big. It's a triple kill for FN, about to become an ultra kill until VS snipes it. And it is now 4 heroes down for Na'Vi. 3 of them have buyback, and 1 of them definitely does not want to use it.
Oh, that was so bad. Like, General, was so hesitant. He knows this is like a game-winning or game-losing Chronosphere, and he was way too hesitant on it. He's trying to position, and this is Oh, General dead. Nice play from Funnick.
Oh, they actually have to use, they've just used 4 buybacks now, Na'Vi, to hold this. Funnick's even being sent back home. The Yule Scepter, well, okay, maybe he can't get home alone. As now Diddy Ra, stun up, he goes after the Chen, the swap back out, you wait for it. Where's the play? It's Dendi to actually be attacked. Vengeful Spirit's the man with the double kill, which hilarious enough as Puck finish the rest of it, and they'll finish the hopes of Na'Vi. GG, Na'Vi, man, I think you hit the nail on the head. They're a little bit too eager with the last 2 minutes of that Aegis, and that mid-fight.
I mean, just think about, first of all, the Chronosphere was, too delayed, and by the time he got it off, it was just too late, right? The Sven was low enough, he couldn't get any damage on the gyro.
Yeah.
But also, do you see how long that Death Ward lasted? It was the whole entire time. If that's an Aghanim's upgrade, yes, the Gyrocopter would have survived because he had Butterfly and he was just able to, the Sven couldn't go on him. But at least it would have put pressure on the backline because then it bounces to everyone else. But, that